Welcome to Midday's first masterclass session. This is a unique platform where we have promising young bowlers, young athletes who can learn the nuances of the game straight from the master. We have with us Steyn, who is regarded as the greatest bowler of this era. Dale, it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Having made his international debut in 2004 against England after playing just 7 first-class games, Dale is now on the verge of becoming the highest wicket taker for South Africa. He's tied with Shaun Pollock on 421 wickets. He has many passions, fishing, skateboarding, and of course bowling those fiery spells. And by fiery, I mean bowling consistently at 145 to 150 kilometers per hour. Dale, before we get into your craft, can you tell us what kind of an impact Shaun Pollock had on you?
He was there when I made my Test debut. He was somebody that I looked up to when I was growing up. I watched him all the time. And then I made my Test debut together with him in PE, although he'd played a whole bunch of Test matches. It was my first game. And that night he actually slipped a little note under my door. So I've got like this emotional attachment to Polly, and he's kind of been there throughout my whole career and guided me through the beginning, at least the beginning 4 years of my career. And now at the latter stages, he's still around in commentary. He comes and talks a lot, offers advice where he can, and just support in general, because he's been there, he's done that. So it's always nice to have that shoulder to kind of lean on now whenever I need it.
I read somewhere, that you even borrowed his a pair of shoes for your first few international games. Is that true?
Anybody, when they're starting off playing their first couple games, you don't have the big sponsors. Nobody knows who you are. So you kind of do everything on your own. And when I made my debut, I really didn't have any money, to be honest. So I couldn't afford shoes. So I had 2 pairs of shoes, and Shaun basically became my shoe sponsor for at least the first 2 or 3 years. We were the same shoe size, and being my hero, I thought whatever he was wearing worked for him, it would have to work for me. So he used to just give me all his hand-me-downs, which I really appreciate.
Let's get down to, with the masterclass session, Dale, you are all about pace, so how do you generate it, where does it come from?
Pace is one thing, but I think controlled pace is the most important thing. If you're running in and you're bowling 140, 150 kilometers an hour, but it's going all over the place, that's not going to help much. But controlled pace is something that batters will really struggle with. Consistently landing the ball in the same place time and time again, that's how you're going to cause trouble. But pace is 2 things. It's a natural gift, one. Unfortunately, you got to be born with having the fast twitch fibers in your body. I look at myself and say Faf du Plessis, we're pretty much the same height, same build, but Faf can hardly bowl at 100 kilometers an hour, and I can bowl 150. But secondly, it's a combination of your run-up, your action, the speed in which you move at, and then your wrist position, the force behind the ball to get the ball from point A to point B.
The outswinger is your most lethal weapon, and can you show us with that grip?
Absolutely. I think everyone's born with a natural gift. They either shape the ball away or they shape the ball back in, depending on whether you're left arm or right arm. My natural variation is obviously a way swing. It was what I was taught when I started off playing, and it's what I do now. So basically, the trick is to try and have the shiny side on the outside. If you're a right arm bowler, you put the ball into your hand like that. I like to kind of just point the seam slightly towards first slip, because as I'm letting it go, the ball can stay in that trajectory. And then another small trick that I've always learned is that if this is the part of my wrist that I show the batter first, then the ball generally comes out quite correctly. And then I can reverse it the other way. If I want to bowl the in-swing, I just put the shiny side on the other way, and I kind of use that part of my wrist a little bit, and the ball will then go that way like that. So small tricks of the trade that you learn, and Wasim Akram was brilliant at that. He was probably the king of swing. And if you watch him, you'll see his wrist, how well his wrist worked.
We all remember, one of your best spells in Test cricket, which happened at Nagpur in 2010, where you took 7 wickets. The beauty of that spell was that you took the pitch completely out of equation. The way you got the ball to reverse swing, can you show us, what did you do?
Firstly, picking a ball is really important. If you can pick a good ball that's got a good oval shape, good color to it, you're kind of winning the battle already, you know. If you pick a bad ball, it might not swing as much, it might not do as much off the pitch. So picking a ball is really important. That's where Polly helped me a lot too. But the first 2 wickets in that game I took with just conventional swing, just swinging the ball away. I actually nicked Sachin off with a good one that swung away. And I think I bowled Murali Vijay where I turned the ball around and I bowled an in-swinger and he left it. But then what happened was the ball got changed. And I think one of the guys hit it, it got damaged, and the ball got changed. And the first ball I bowled, I ran in, I thought it was in the swing away, and it hooped massively in, and the batter clipped it up and he got caught at mid-wicket. And from that point on, we knew we were in the game. And from there, if you can just target the stumps and use good pace, you can put batters under pressure, especially when the ball is swinging. And I was lucky enough that, you know, I aimed at the stumps, I got it to swing in quite nicely, batters weren't quite ready for it, some of them left the ball, Saha left the ball, it got bowled, and then the tail-henders, they couldn't handle it, you know, it came in, it either missed the bats and missed the pads and it got bowled, or I hit the pads and it was LBW. So yeah, we were quite lucky that the ball got changed.
Can you talk about the reverse swing, you know, like how do you go about your business?
Yeah, so again, picking the ball is one of the main things, and then working on the ball. You know, you can't work on it illegally, so you can't get your nails into the ball. You're not allowed to scratch it. You're not allowed to use sandpaper or artificial things. But yeah, you know, we do things like we throw it into the pitch, into the footholes, and we try and scuff up the one side, and then we try and look after the one side and get it nice and shiny. So if you can get a ball that is conditioned well for reverse swing, again, you're winning half the battle. Then the next one is to implement the skill. So with reverse swing, the roles actually change. Conventional swing, you would put the shiny side on the outside, and the ball would shape away from the shiny side. Now reverse swing is when you've got the shiny side on this side and the ball shapes towards the shiny side. So one of the key things that you want to do is you don't want to change too much. You want to have the shiny side there, but you want to still bowl with the same wrist position you'd bowl with when you were swinging the ball. You don't want to change anything. The only thing you might want to change is just your angle and approach to the pitch where you're coming in when you're running in, and just your line a little bit, just adjust so that it can shape. Hit the deck really hard, try and hit the top or stump. If it comes back in, you're in the business. If it holds its line, you stand a chance at nicking a guy off. Keep it simple, and batters are really good these days. Keep it simple, set good fields, and then patience.
Dale, we have a bunch of bowlers who aspire to be as quick as you are. We have bowlers like Manish Rao. He's played Ranji Trophy for Railways. We have Sagar Jadhav, who is a Mumbai under-23 probables. Can we have some questions from you guys? We'll start with Manish.
Basically, I'm a swing bowler, but I need that nip out of the wicket. So I'm not getting it from here. I'm directly putting it towards the batsman, and then I'm pulling it. But I have to be upright to gain the bounce because I'm not that heighted. So to gain the bounce, I need a bit of uprightness in my action. So how can I work on that?
So, I think your left arm is a key thing. It's your rudder. If you're a right arm bowler, it's your rudder. You lose your left arm, you lose your shoulder. What happens is that your head follows. And once your eyes are not in target with where you want to bowl, you kind of lose all that control. So one of the things that you might want to do is get a small dumbbell, a gym dumbbell. Not a very heavy one, maybe half a kilo, 1 kg maybe. And you get into the nets and you just off a short run, maybe 2 or 3 steps. It's just a trick. You just hold the dumbbell in this hand and you practice getting your arm up like that. So you get used to the fact that you got something heavy in your hand and you're getting it up. You're trying to get it up to the sky as much as you can. You're holding it there and then you're getting into that position and then you're doing your snap. And you can release it if you want to at this point. Yeah, you can let it go. You can get it up and you can let it go. That's just like a small technique for you to get used to it. And if you do that, say 10, maybe 20 times, just off a couple steps, like 2 or 3 steps, you'll find that when you let go of the weight, your arm will just automatically go straight up because you're used to that weight. So that's a small way of being able to get your arm up. Good pace. Keep trying to get that arm. Grab the sky. Pull it down. Don't be scared to finish your action. A lot of people look at where they want to bowl because they want to see what did the ball do. finish your action, trust that you're going to let the ball go in the right place. And sometimes, like, you don't have to worry about getting it too high, you know. You gotta use it, that it, like when you get here, it's not, you want it to be powerful. When you're there, you let go. And then you finish it off. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
We have Sagar. He's an under 23 Mumbai player.
Yes.
Sagar, your question.
So whenever I start my run up, usually I don't get much rhythm. So how should I smoothen my run up and to build strong run up?
Yeah, run up is very important. It also depends on how long your run up is. One, you don't want it to be too long because you kind of lose energy by the time you hit the crease, and you don't want it to be too short because you might not have gained enough energy. So it's an individual thing, to be honest with you. If you look at some of the quicker bowlers like Morne Morkel, Mitch Johnson, they don't have very long run ups, but they're extremely powerful at the crease. They use a lot of power at the crease. Mashant Talanga. And then you look at someone like, say, Shaib, myself, Brett Lee. We've got a lot longer run-ups. We need rhythm to be able to build momentum. So it's not something that I can actually teach you. It's something more of a feeling that you have to feel. And you kind of have to work it out on your own, you know. That's unfortunately, a run-up is like a long jumper's run-up, you know. You've got to kind of feel when is the right time to release the ball, when I've got enough power, when I've hit the crease at the right time, and then make that your run-up, you know. So it might take a little bit of adjusting.
Vikas Singh, he's a left-arm pacer, and he hopes to get into the Mumbai Ranji team this time after representing Mumbai last season in the under 23 squad. Okay. Vikas, your question.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
I want to ask about loading.
Yes.
Usually, I load behind my shoulder.
Yeah.
Is there any problem?
I don't think so. I think I like to load, so I'm right arm, I like to load in this position. But if you look at guys like Alan Donald, he would really get his arm quite far back. It just means that the further back you go, you've got to do a lot more work to bring it back this way and then back over. One of the things that I was taught when I was growing up was, imagine a box over here, like that, and over here. So when you're running in, you want to keep your arms in that box. You don't want to be all over the place. You want to be in this box here. And then when you load, you want to be in this box. It just means that there's control, you know. The moment you start to leave the box, your arms are like this, you lose control. And think of a train being on the railway tracks, you know. If it's going too fast on the railway tracks, it starts to lose control, it will derail. And it's much the same with fast bowling. When you're running in, you want to be able to stay on track, you want to be able to stay in your box, and you want to stay controlled. It's all about controlled pace and momentum. So yeah, I don't think there's much wrong with getting back here. If it works for you, it works for you. But ideally, I think where you want to be is you want to be stable and strong in that box over there. If you go a little bit there, it's not that bad. But if you can stay in your boxes, you should be okay.
Next we have Krutik Hangewadi. He's an under 23 Mumbai probables. What is your question?
How to make the optimum use of the crease?
Getting close to the crease is one thing. If you take string, for example, and you put it on off stump, and you pull it all the way down the pitch, and you put it on off stump here, you'll see it's in a straight line. Now you leave that string there, and then you move the string and you move it wider, and you'll start to see, with the string, you can actually see the angle change. But where you land the ball is going to be in exactly the same place. And what that does is it really just messes with the batsman's eyes. He's looking at one point, and then he's looking at another point, but the ball is landing in the same place. But the angle now changes, you know, but you seem to always finish in the right place. So what you want to do for a start is you want to make a mark, maybe use a cone, and put it on the crease. You want to land, and you want to land, here's your cone, you want to land this side of the cone. And then slowly, like if this is the stumps, yeah, you want to land nice and tight. And then slowly start to move that cone further and further away, just so that you can get used to the fact that you are using the crease. Find what's comfortable for you. With your action, sometimes you can't afford, you know, to use the crease as well. You look at someone like Makai Antini. He used to run in and he used to jump really wide, so he could never get close to the stumps. So even if he just changed his angle by this much, it was a major difference for the batsman. So using the use of the crease is very important. But again, it's another individual thing, because you need to look at your action, you need to look at the angle of your run-up, and then you need to adjust accordingly. But it's extremely important. Yeah, especially when the pitches are flat. You can change the angle, you can change the batter's viewpoint.
And finally, we have Jay Kothari. He's a promising Mumbai bowler.
I'm a left-arm pace bowler. So as a left-arm pace bowler, I have a natural in-swing. So I wanted to...
Natural in-swing is to the
yeah,
right-hander.
yeah. So I wanted to show me a proper wrist position for outswing to a right-hander batsman.
Yes.
So that I can get bounce, I can cut the ball.
Bounce comes from strong right arm for you and being high. Okay, the moment you start to drop down, you become a lot more skiddy. We're a very similar height, so which is quite nice because being skiddy helps, because if you bowl the short ball, it never really gets up. Batters always kind of feel like they have to face the ball. But for you, you would have your swing would be from this way, and you would go like that, and your wrist would obviously be this part of the wrist that you're working because you're in that position. I would just kind of switch it around, kind of have the seam slightly towards first slip, and I would use that part if you were bowling to a right-hander, and then just slightly open your wrist a little bit to allow the ball to naturally drift across like that. It seems easy, much harder than said than done. That's the basic premise of it. Yeah, you work on that, especially off a couple steps in your run-up, and then slowly build it. So eventually, when you're at the back of your mark, start off slowly. When you start your car, you always put it into first gear. You don't put it into fifth gear and drive away. Fast bowling is much the same. Start in first gear, work your way to fifth gear. You'll be fine.
Thank you, sir.
Pleasure.
Dale, there are also a few queries, generally that we come across. One of them is, the grips, the different type of grips. So can you, if you can give a demo of, like this is it, how an outswinger is, this is how an in-swinger is, the cross seam, all the different techniques.
The basic ones are your swing, so you get your shiny side, this side, kind of hold the ball there, slightly towards first slip. If I was bowling to a right-hander and you let the ball go, you get the shape. Turn it around the other way, shiny side, wrist, slightly towards leg slip, you get your in-swinger. Then you can start to use your cutters. I don't really mind too much which side the shiny side is on when I'm bowling a cutter. I do like the shiny side on the outside when I'm bowling an in cutter. And you just hold it almost looks like you're holding it across the seam, but you're holding it like that. I like to get both my fingers over the seam, so I've got good grip of it, and this one in there, so I've got a nice grip. And then you just want to let it go with the center of your wrist now. You want that part, because you want as much momentum behind the ball as possible. You bowl it, the ball will come out kind of scrambled, and hopefully it lands on that part like that, bang, and it goes there. It's much the same with the leg cutter. You just turn it that way. It looks like it's cross seam, but it kind of comes out a little bit wobbly, and it lands, and it should go that way. Those are your kind of basic deliveries. Then you start to drift into your slower balls. You can either bowl one that's got no pace behind it, so there's no wrist. Remember, the thing about fast bowling is having power behind the ball. You want your wrist behind the ball. That's how you get real pace. Slower ball, you want no power behind the ball because you want to fox the batter. You can roll your wrist like that. Same thing, hold it there. Just roll your wrist. You can hold it like that. Roll your wrist that way. So you get that kind of slower ball. And then a big craze now is to hold it straight down the middle like that. Run in and then bowl the back of the hand slower ball. If you can do that, it looks like you're bowling a seam ball, but it's actually come out a lot slower. So those are your basic deliveries that you can work with. Cross seam is always good if you're bowling a bouncer. You bowl a bouncer, go cross seam. One hits the shiny side, skids on, other one hits the seam, and it can bounce.
You can tell us what is an ideal jump when you're running in, you're just about to bowl.
When you're running in and you're gathering like that, it's all about again, control. You gather so that you've got a split second in the air to gather everything together, and control everything. That's why you don't want to go too quickly through your action. You don't want to rush your action, because like the train, if you rush things, you derail, your head falls over, you lose your eyes and your focus on your target. So I like to run in, and when I gather, I just want to spend a split second longer in my gather, in my jump, not too high, but I just want to spend a split second there so I can stable my eyes, get my focal point and where I want to go. Strong left arm, come through, good solid landing, head still, strong left arm, it's keeping my body from falling over, and then momentum all the way down the wicket to the wicket keeper. If you're breaking away this way, or you're breaking away that way as a left arm seamer, you lose your momentum, you know. So you want your power and your momentum going down the pitch. Yeah. But just obviously within the rules, you have to kind of just break away a little bit so you're not in the danger area, but that's fine. But as long as most of it's going in that direction, you're okay.
Well, people, we come to an end of our masterclass session. Dale, I'm sure you know the interaction we had, the tips that you have given him, it's going to help them lift their game. Thank you all, particularly Dale. You know, it was a pleasure having you. Thanks for gracing this occasion, and all the best for the record.
Thank you.